Not surprisingly, Luigi Mangione drew a crowd to a Manhattan federal courtroom Friday, his star power apparently still intact. But there were no fireworks during the nearly 4.5-hour hearing.
All day, Altoona police officer Christy Wasser on the hot seat. In fact, things got so heated late in the day that Luigi Mangione took off his sport coat. This as the lead defense attorney accused her of turning off her body camera inside of her cruiser and rifling through the defendant's backpack, finding the handgun. Luigi Mangione exuding confidence for the cameras on week 2 of his pretrial hearings in Manhattan criminal court. Mangione's attorneys are hoping to persuade the judge to bar certain evidence and statements from trial. Attorney Terry Austin has been sitting in on the testimony given about the murder case.
He's probably going to admit all the statements and admit the evidence, and perhaps a tiny bit will be carved out.
However, Austin believes the Pennsylvania police officers acted largely within their rights when searching and questioning the 27-year-old last December, initially without a warrant. On the witness stand Monday, Altoona police officer Christy Wasser. She searched the suspect's backpack after he was arrested for using a fake ID at a McDonald's. Wasser asked Mangione if there was anything she should be wary of, to which he invoked his right to remain silent. Wasser told the court she was just making sure there's not a bomb in here before I put it in the car.
If you said it, if you think there's a bomb in the bag, then why would you go in that bag?
At the arrest scene, body camera footage shows Wasser pulling out personal items and then a loaded 9mm magazine wrapped in a pair of underwear.
The search of the bag at the McDonald's was done after the arrest. And remember, you can do a search incident to the arrest.
Back at police headquarters, we see the search continue in earnest. That's where Officer Wasser testified to finding the gun, silencer, and notebook for the first time, including a piece of paper on which Mangione allegedly planned his escape from New York. The defense futilely objecting to its release. On it, we saw handwritten notes. Check Pittsburgh red eye, ideally to Columbus or Cleveland. Keep momentum. FBI is slower overnight. Break camera continuity and check news reports for current situation. Something else the defense continued to hammer in on was the fact that the prosecution was referring to the killing of Brian Thompson as an execution and the personal diary of Luigi Mangione as a manifesto, saying that both of those terms could negatively impact a jury. From Lower Manhattan, I'm Anthony DiLorenzo, Pix 11 News.
Good morning to both of you. We're starting out with a really animated Luigi Mangione, who seems to be in good spirits after court was adjourned on Friday and he fell ill and went home. Week 2 now starts with a pre-trial hearing of his defense team trying to get certain evidence tossed before his trial. Luigi Mangione appeared in good health Monday with a fist pump for the cameras as he talked with his lawyers. This is week 2 of his defense team trying to suppress certain evidence from the trial obtained before Mangione was Mirandized. On the witness stand Monday, an Altoona police officer said she searched Mangione's backpack at McDonald's after asking him if there was anything she should be wary of, to which he invoked his right to remain silent. The officer told the court she was just making sure there's not a bomb in here before I put it in the car. Despite the concern, she also acknowledged police never cleared the restaurant of customers or employees. Body camera footage shows the officer pulling out items, including a loaded 9mm magazine wrapped in a pair of underwear, to which a fellow officer is heard exclaiming, "It's 100% him." Back at police headquarters, officers recover the gun, silencer, and a notebook for the first time, including a piece of paper on which Mangione allegedly planned his escape from New York with a to-do list, including pluck his eyebrows, the main facial feature that got him recognized at McDonald's. While the defense objects its release, some legal analysts say this may not go Mangione's way.
Fortunately for the prosecution, most of the really, damaging evidence was found at the intake. And even the search of the bag at the McDonald's was done after the arrest. And remember, you can do a search incident to the arrest. So I think most of that is going to get in. But even if everything at McDonald's is out, the items at McDonald's were nowhere near as important as the items that were found at the intake.
One thing is clear, we are seeing an unbelievable amount of evidence, and this is only a pre-trial hearing, certainly a preview of what we'll be seeing in the trial. We're live in Lower Manhattan as court starts in just a few hours. And Kalorama, we'll send it back to you.
And we want to start off your morning this morning. The pretrial hearing of Luigi Mangione, accused of killing the UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
The court considering new evidence released in the case over the weekend. This as the defense tries to get key evidence in the case thrown out. Pix 11's Kalorama is live in Lower Manhattan with more. Kala?
Good morning to both of you. The question is, will Luigi Mangione be back in court this morning, and is he feeling better? You may recall on Friday, court was adjourned early because Luigi was feeling ill. This pretrial hearing is sorting out which evidence the jury will be allowed to see at trial. On Saturday, the court authorized an additional release of evidence, including a piece of paper with a to-do list. Another photo shows a folding knife prosecutors say was pulled from Mangione's pockets. There's also a Greyhound bus ticket issued to Sam Dawson, one of the many aliases that prosecutors say Mangione used. Luigi Mangione's lawyers are trying to suppress evidence obtained by Pennsylvania police before Mangione was read his Miranda rights. That evidence, a 9mm handgun matching the firearm used in the killing, writings in a notebook expressing hate for health insurers, and a fake ID used by the alleged gunman at a New York hostel days before the shooting, all key to the prosecutor's case. There was a 5-day nationwide manhunt leading to Mangione's arrest after he was recognized at an Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's.
Blair 911, what is the address of your emergency?
It's not really an emergency. I'm a manager at Plank Road McDonald's out here on the Boulevard.
Okay.
And I have a customer here that some other customers were suspicious of, that he looks like the CEO shooter from New York.
Okay.
So they're just really upset, and they're like coming to me, and I was like, well, I can't approach them, you know.
No, of course not.
One of the officers testified he recognized Mangione from the news and peppered him with questions for 20 minutes before reading him his rights. Officers also searched Mangione's backpack without a warrant and found the gun, silencer, and notebook. The police say it was for safety reasons. 50-year-old Brian Thompson, CEO of UnitedHealthcare, was shot in the back as he walked to an investor conference in Midtown Manhattan on December 4th, 2024. 27-year-old Mangione has pleaded not guilty to both state and federal charges. Mangione's defense team saying they were going to call more than 24 witnesses. Clearly last week, that's what we saw. So many called to the stand to talk about what they noticed when Mangione was searched, when he was questioned, and also said this is a preview of what we can see in the trial. We're live in Lower Manhattan. I'm Kalorama, Pix 11 News.
For the first time, the public is seeing the moment Luigi Mangione is confronted at a McDonald's by Pennsylvania police 1 year ago, Tuesday.
What's your name? What?
A New York judge agreeing to the release of 2 minutes of evidence amid an appeal from the news media. After about 20 minutes of questioning, Mangione is then arrested in Altoona for providing a fake ID and weapons possession. The 27-year-old was eventually indicted for the murder of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Midtown. Tom Dickey is his Pennsylvania attorney.
And he's, just as concerned as I think as anybody rightfully would be.
During pretrial evidence suppression hearings, prosecutors presenting 5 days of witness testimony so far. Altoona police officer Stephen Fox on the stand Tuesday exclaimed upon finding ammunition in the suspect's backpack on body camera video, "Dude, it's expletive him 100%." And testified while transporting Mangione to court, he allegedly remarked to Fox about the press gathered, "All these people here for a mass murderer. Wild." The state working to show a judge Mangione was arrested and searched legally, but defense attorneys want him to dismiss evidence found like the gun and potentially damning handwritten notes.
We believe that they've been obtained illegally and contrary to the law.
Legal experts don't believe the judge's ruling will change the outcome of his case.
I could see the judge saying, you know what, this was not a justified warrantless search, but inevitable discovery.
And legal minds say, if nothing else, this is just a great dry run for both the prosecution and the defense ahead of the trial. One more interesting tidbit that we learned today from Officer Fox when he was transporting Mangione to court and his legs were shackled. He told the judge that Mangione allegedly said to him, "Oh, I'm going to have to get used to my legs being shackled," after he apologized for walking so fast. We're reporting live outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. I'm Anthony DiLorenzo, Pix 11 News.
Yeah, good morning to you. We are going on week 3 here of Luigi Mangione sitting alongside his defense team. His defense team arguing before a judge in this pre-trial hearing to throw out certain evidence before they get to trial. So far, the Mangione's defense team is arguing to a judge this body camera video of Luigi at a McDonald's is to, quote, influence public perception and prejudice Mangione, and prosecutors are trying to distract from a botched arrest by releasing a sensational video. Judge Gregory Caro simply responded he, quote, didn't really see a problem with what's already been released. Throughout the suppression hearing, an Altoona police officer said she searched Mangione's backpack at McDonald's after asking him if there was anything she should be wary of, to which he invoked his right to remain silent. The officer told the court she was, quote, just making sure there's not a bomb in here before I put it in the car. Despite the concern, she acknowledged police never cleared the restaurant of customers or employees. Body camera footage shows the officers recover the gun, silencer, and notebook for the first time, including a piece of paper on which Mangione allegedly planned his escape from New York with a to-do list, including pluck his eyebrows, the main facial feature that got him recognized. The judge must decide whether Altoona police violated Mangione's rights during the takedown and if some evidence should be excluded.
So I think Judge Caro, somewhere along the line, is going to throw out some statements. Well, he'll go with an inevitable discovery here that the gun would have been discovered during a normal course anyway.
So far, throughout this pretrial hearing, we've seen Luigi Mangione in good spirits sitting alongside his defense team, at one point even fist pumping to the camera. Court starts today once again around 9:30 this morning. In Lower Manhattan, I'm Calorama, Pix 11 News.
Accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione will be fighting for his life today as his attorneys try to block the possibility of the death penalty. A key hearing is happening in federal court in Lower Manhattan, where protests are also expected. Pix 11's Kirsten Cole joining us live outside the courthouse with more on what we can expect to happen today. Kirsten, good morning. Yeah, a lot could go on here, Hazel. This is one murder, but we're seeing 2 trials come in place with this. Today, more movement in the federal trial where we haven't seen Luigi Mangione here since his original indictment, but original arraignment. But we're also going to see protesters here. They vowed to be right at the foot of these courthouse steps, trying to put on pressure, saying that this is merely a politicized issue. They want to see the death penalty in this case taken off the table. This will be the first time Luigi Mangione will appear in federal court since he was first arraigned here last April. He was just recently in state court for 3 weeks with his attorneys attempting to toss crucial evidence on the basis that it was improperly obtained by police during his arrest. His attorneys will also be arguing for evidence to be excluded in his federal trial as well. Items that were obtained from his backpack but without a police warrant. The attorneys petitioning the court to exclude the gun that was confiscated, along with a notebook with writings that he wanted to whack a health insurance executive. It was also the first time we saw and heard officers on body-worn cameras as they interacted with Mangione at the Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's after a tip was called in. The judge in this case has said she plans to set a trial date during these proceedings. We will also learn whether the judge plans to hold a hearing on the evidence admissibility issue as well. And we've already seen a win for Mangione's attorneys at the state level. They successfully argued to have the state terrorism charges against him dropped. The hearing today begins at 11 o'clock, but we're going to see protesters here a full hour before that happens.
Not surprisingly, Luigi Mangione drew a crowd to a Manhattan federal courtroom Friday, his star power apparently still intact. But there were no fireworks during the nearly 4.5-hour hearing. What we did learn near the start of the hearing is Judge Margaret Garnett ruled there would be no need for an evidentiary hearing to determine whether police seized Mangione's backpack lawfully when they arrested him in Altoona, Pennsylvania. The judge, commenting from the bench, quote, He's being removed from a public place. I don't think it's disputed that if you are arrested in a public place, that the police are not supposed to safeguard your personal property. The second issue took up the rest of the hearing, a complicated, hypothetical-filled back and forth between the judge and both sides, debating the defense team's request to not treat Mangione's stalking charge as a violent crime. If it is not a violent crime, then it legally cannot serve as the foundation for other criminal charges that would make the Ivy League-educated suspect eligible for the death penalty. Mangione is accused of fatally shooting UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a Midtown Manhattan street in 2024. Attorney Lisa Bonner.
When you have a crime of violence, this isn't just a label. If the defense wins this, the stakes drop dramatically. The death penalty is off the table. But if they lose it, the government is able to keep all of its, balls in its court, and the death penalty and all of the other charges that they are seeking that are related to the crime of violence are still at play.
It is one of the country's most infamous jails that's housed the likes of Sean Combs, Nicolas Maduro, and Luigi Mangione. And it was here that a man allegedly tried to impersonate a federal officer and get one of them freed. Federal prosecutors say it was a half-baked plan to spring one of the nation's most notorious inmates from jail. Mark Anderson appeared in court Thursday night, 24 hours after he allegedly showed up at the Metropolitan Detention Center claiming he was an FBI agent, and allegedly told guards he had a court order to release Luigi Mangione, according to sources. Something his attorney, Michael Weil, told the judge was never a serious attempt. Do you know why he chose that inmate?
I have nothing else to say, thanks.
Prosecutors say the 36-year-old Minnesota man handed jail officials his state ID, told them he had weapons in his backpack, which turned out to be a meat fork and a pizza cutter. Attorney Weil believes Anderson suffers from mental illness and asked him to be evaluated.
Let the court handle this.
Criminal trial attorney Nick Ramcharadar knows the ins and outs of the federal detention facility well.
Immediately when he walked in, I guarantee you, everybody's ears perked up, because something was a bit awry.
He explains for inmates like Mangione, they have a pre-approved list of visitors.
You just can't walk in there and say, hey, I'm here to see, Luigi.
Anderson has a criminal history in his home state and 3 arrests in the Bronx dating back to October, including one involving an alleged firearm. Because of that, the judge remanding him to the very place he allegedly tried the prison break.
I doubt they'll be bunkmates. They'll probably be in completely separate pods.
On Friday morning, Luigi Mangione will actually be back in a federal courtroom in Lower Manhattan, where the judge is expected to decide whether he will still face the death penalty and which evidence will be admitted into trial.
Hey, good morning. And no chance the law was going to fall for this. A guy cosplaying as an FBI agent showing up here to the MDC on Wednesday, claiming to have a court order demanding the release of Luigi Mangione. Legal insiders say that guy could not have known that inmates like Mangione often require pre-approved visitation.
Immediately when he walked in, I guarantee you, everybody's ears perked up, because something was a bit awry. You just can't walk in there and say, hey, I'm here to see, Luigi.
And now the Minnesota man accused of trying to jailbreak Luigi Mangione is also locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center. 36-year-old Mark Anderson was ordered held without bail following his Thursday first appearance in Brooklyn federal court. Anderson was not required to enter a plea. But his attorney tells Pix 11 he believes Anderson suffers from mental illness and is calling for an evaluation. Prosecutors say the Minnesota native told MDC jail officials that he had weapons in his backpack, which wound up being a barbecue fork and a pizza cutter. Anderson's criminal history spans 3 states, including New York, where he counts at least 3 arrests in the Bronx, one reportedly involving a firearm. Anderson allegedly had been working at a Bronx pizza shop. And back live, Mark Anderson now among the notable names here at MDC. Others, of course, include ex-Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores, and also former inmate Sean Diddy Combs. As for Luigi Mangione, he, of course, is due in federal court today. The judge there is poised to decide soon what evidence can be used against him in that case, and if prosecutors can indeed seek the death penalty in this case as well. Mangione is accused of shooting and killing UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Midtown in December of 2024. We're live here in Sunset Park. Justin Finch, Pix 11 News. Back to you.
For the prosecution, the judge ruling that evidence collected when Mangione was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania, will be allowed to come in. And the big news, of course, we learned that the worst case scenario, if Mangione is convicted, that he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. Luigi Mangione's criminal case, at least on the federal level, can no longer be called a, quote, murder trial, after federal district judge Margaret Garnett ruled 2 murder by firearm-related charges, which carry the death penalty, could not be considered. Why? Judge Garnett's opinion states that Mangione's alleged stalking of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson did not rise to the level of a violent crime. Mangione is accused of fatally gunning down Thompson from behind on a Midtown Manhattan street in December 2024.
That's exactly what the defense was arguing.
Legal expert Terry Austin.
That there was no striking, there was no violence, there was no knowledge, there was just the stalking. And part of the definition for stalking is that the individual is aware that they're being stalked, that they caused fear, that there's something that they're worried about. And so maybe, getting a protective order, all of that is involved in this stalking. And what the judge said here is, this did not constitute an act of violence, and because of that, the murder charge and the firearm charges were dismissed.
The judge's bottom line, quote, this case will proceed to trial on counts 1 and 2, which charged the defendant with causing Brian Thompson's death under 2 federal stalking laws. The potential maximum punishment for each of those offenses is life in prison without parole. And we are still on schedule for jury selection in this federal case to begin on September 8th. Ernie, Candace?
All right, thank you.